We spent a lot of time over the past little while talking about how food prices kept going higher and higher. We heard stories, people calling in as well. Eggs. Remember we were talking about lettuce not that long ago. A head of lettuce, $6, $7, $8, wherever you happen to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all expected then, as time went on, that prices would come back and start to go back to where they're supposed to be, to what we would call normal. Certainly when, interest rates go the other way, we expect that to happen. But even now, it looks like, and I read some of the stories this morning, Loblaws is kind of in the focus here, right? They have a no-name brand, right?
Yes.
Their yellow stuff that you see Galen Weston selling on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he went out of his way to say the freeze on prices, because that's what there had been on those no-name brands, is coming to an end.
Yes.
For a lot of people, those brands are the only thing they were buying that they could afford to buy in those stores, and now they're finding out those prices now, they're going up along with everything else.
It's not exclusive to Loblaws and Provigo, right? We heard that Metro did the same thing. They had a price freeze. That is also coming to an end. And not only are the prices going to stop being frozen, they are going up. So it's going to hurt.
We also heard today, this is give you an idea, because a lot of people think the grocery stores, these chains are the ones making all these exorbitant profits, and they've been doing very well. Part of the announcement today from Loblaws was that 27,000 of their suppliers, these are the people who sell to those stores, are suggesting they're going to need to see a 10% hike in what they're getting paid.
I mean, fair enough, but you kind of think it's a bit of a passing the buck, right? Don't blame us, it's them.
27,000 suppliers.
Yikes.
That's a lot of people. SYLVAIN CHARLEBOIS, Senior Director of Agri-Food Analytics. He's over at Dalhousie University. He's our food professor we chat with every now and then. SYLVAIN, listen, was it unrealistic to think that prices, which have gone up and up and up, would finally start to come down this soon?
I'll rephrase that. I don't think food prices will ever come down. 2022 really created I think this is something that is underappreciated by a lot of people. 2022 created new cost benchmarks across the board. Salaries have gone up, packaging fees, freight costs, everything has gone up, and because we're looking at a global phenomena. Nobody is immune to what's going on around the world. I mean, Canada still has one of the lowest food inflation rates in the world, but people keep on blaming Galen Weston and Loblaw. It's a bit ridiculous.
All right, but look, I just want to go back to something that we had talked about at the beginning. We heard about supply chain issues. They were a problem. I thought that situation was beginning to regulate itself now. Why are we in a new paradigm as far as you're concerned?
It's just because things got way more complicated across the board. The thing about food distribution is that risks don't go away; they move, and risks tend to cost money. Whether it's climate change related, Ukraine, geopolitics, you name it, things are pretty shaky right now. They've been shaky for a while. The pandemic itself really made supply chains resilient. Things are improving, of course, but they're not at 100%. Labor is also a big issue everywhere around the world. So whenever you need to do something, you have to do these things with fewer people, which slows things down. And when you slow things down, it tends to cost more. And so right now, we're hurting as consumers because of a high food inflation rate at retail. But it's even worse within the supply chain because there's a lot of tension between suppliers and grocers. Look at what happened yesterday between PepsiCo and Loblaw. There was a memo that was leaked telling everyone that Pepsi is charging more for its chips. That memo was leaked by a grocer. So there's a lot of blaming going on right now, and the people caught in the middle are consumers.
Well, I was thinking we'd all have a much easier time stomaching these prices if we didn't think or know that those companies were making huge profits, right? I mean, I think that's where it really starts to smell bad. Again,
let me rephrase. I encourage you and your listeners to look at Loblaw's financial statements. Same for Empire, same for Metro. When you actually look at the numbers, yes, dollar figures are very high, okay? When you look at the 6-year average, they're above average, way above average. But when you look at food sales in general, they're below the food inflation rate. So Loblaw, for example, last quarter, their food sales increased by 6.8%.
Okay. That's
way below the food inflation rate of 10.3%. So they're making money selling lipsticks and T-shirts. If that's wrong, then that's wrong. But they're actually not making a whole lot of money selling food. That's why there's a lot of confusion out there. Everyone's saying companies are making too much money. Well, they're making money, not necessarily selling food.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I just wonder, though, that being the case, who is making that money, or is nobody making that money selling food?
I have concerns. I have concerns up the food chain in processing with certain verticals. Now, I would start with dairy. I mean, yesterday, dairy milk prices at Farmgate increased by 2.2%. No one at the Canadian Dairy Care should explain why that 2.2% was applied to milk prices at Farmgate. They said, well, it's costing more to feed cows and things like that. Well, how much more? They actually did survey over 200 farmers to basically quantify that increase. Can we see that data? They've always refused. Meat packing is another one. If you go to the meat counter, beef prices are going up, but farmers are getting less. Why is that? It's not necessarily because of the grocers. Something's going on in meat packing.
You know, people have said, to Natasha's point about profits, and I'm glad you kind of reframed it to give people an idea what's going on. We've heard we need to have an investigation of big major retailers here. The way you're laying it out, there should be an investigation, but not of them, of the people in between here trying to figure out where this money is going. Do you agree that that should happen?
Of course. On December 5th, I was asked to testify before Parliament in regards to their food inflation investigation. I had MPs in front of me and did say exactly what you just said. Let's look at the entire value chain, and you should call and ask the Competition Bureau and Statistics Canada to witness as well. And that's what I've recommended to the committee. Basically, pointing fingers at grocers alone would be to simplify a very complex issue. And again, I'm going to go back to my point about world markets. There's a lot of pressure on Canada coming from abroad. Inflation is not because of grocers and companies here in Canada. Inflation is impacted by what goes on outside of our borders as well.
Sure. Yeah, and that includes a war. Let's bring it back to the average consumer for a moment, Sylvain, before we run out of time here. What would your advice be for us who are having a hard time, getting the stuff that we used to buy and not necessarily think twice of? Do we just need to change our habits?
Yes. If you're doing the same thing than a year ago, you're losing money. So if I were in Montreal, I would pick 3 stores, big box stores, a specialty store, and a regular grocery store, and alternate between them over 3 weeks every time. Go to a different store. Get educated about the market and prices. Secondly, check your grocery receipt. 1 out of 5 times, there's a mistake there. If there is a mistake there before you leave the store, that grocer will owe you that product for free if it's less than $10.
I have one last question because we're out of time here, and I'm curious. We don't live in a vacuum here. We don't talk about what's going on other places. You mentioned about this being a global issue. From what you've seen or what you know, let's take the U.S. Are they seeing the same thing here with relation to food costs that we are?
So right now, our food inflation rate is at 10.3%. Theirs is at 10.6.
So it's even worse. Okay.
It's even worse, yes, absolutely.
Sylvain, listen, it's great talking to you. Very much appreciated. Thanks for the insight here. Sylvain Charlebois over at Dalhousie University, the food professor. Prices are going up. And as you said, if you didn't see the story today, beyond Loblaws, beyond Metro and IGA, they all say they're being squeezed, right, by their suppliers. Frito-Lay today announced they're hiking the price of their products by an average of 10% as well.
That's PepsiCo, I think that's what Sylvain was referring to.
A lot more cost involved in this. I didn't know that about the 1 in 5. Did you? Your bill is wrong 1 in 5 times?
I've certainly noticed that myself, which is why I hate that I have to put my own stuff in the bag because I'm so busy watching because there's always a price mistake. Wow. So I'm watching it at the same time I'm trying to put the stuff in the bag.
See, it's always easier when the only thing you buy is bagged salad and it's $5.99. It's much easier not to get screwed that way.